Hey guys, it's Gaijin Hunter. I've been getting a lot of questions from you guys asking what is a motion value, how does it work, and if they don't have an official guide that lists out the motion values for each attack, how is it possible to figure out how powerful a single attack is in the game? So I thought I'd make this quick little video. Motion value is just a fancy way of saying how powerful an attack is. Basically, like every other action game in the world, the larger or longer it takes to do an animation, the more powerful the attack is. Now, as far as damage calculation is concerned, and I do have a separate video which I'll link down in my description below, basically your motion value is the percentage of your attack power that you're going to do as damage. So if you have a 100 attack power sword and you do an attack that is 50% motion value, then you'll do half of your full attack power, so 50% of your potential attack. Okay, so for Monster Hunter Cross or Monster Hunter Generations, Capcom has spoiled us, and in their official guide, they've now listed out the motion values for every single attack, so there really isn't any debate about it. But for some of the weird values that they don't decide to list, or for past games like Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, it has been up to the users to discern exactly how powerful each attack is. This is the method in which we do it. Now, the Aptonoth is a great kind of case study for all your different weapons because its health is pretty much the same in every game. So as we look at the official guide, it has a health value of 75. That's not going to vary depending on the size or how big it is, so we're going to pick one, we're going to confirm that it's 75 damage, and then we're going to start playing around with values. Now, this guide does list out all the values, so any attack to its body is 75% cutting damage, and for fire, which we're testing this time, it's 50%, which is really high. Now go ahead and pick a quest, but make sure every time that you're testing and comparing values that you're using the exact same quest. A really popular one is the Ancient Ruins Gathering Tour, because there's Aptonoths right there in the beginning of the game. Okay, so for this one, we're not going to test a motion value, we're just going to confirm the health of this monster by stoning it to death. The reason we use stones is because a stone is exactly 1 damage. Doesn't matter about the defense, where you hit it, it's always 1 damage against a monster. It makes it perfect for testing. You could use bombs to make it go a little bit faster, but this is the more precise version that I like. Okay, we're almost there, I promise. And there we go. So we had 99 in our stock, we have 24 left. Do the simple math of subtraction, and you'll realize we used 75 stones to kill it, exactly what the guide said. Okay, now we're just going to simply go back into that quest, hit the monster in the body, not the head, with a single attack, and then stone it to death and see how many stones it took. And from there, we can figure out how much damage that single attack is. Because there is a such thing as degraded power from yellow sharpness, make sure that you use a weapon with green sharpness to do this calculation. Okay, we're almost there, I promise. Okay, one more, and there it is. We've now killed it with 59 remaining in our stock, so do the math, we just used 1 attack and 40 rocks. Now it's time to calculate. So with 40 rocks and the downward slash, the attack did a total of 35 damage. So let's go figure out exactly how we got 35. Now if you recall from my sharpness video, the green sharpness 1.05% modifier, and that gets applied to the body part weakness, not your overall attack. So let's look at it. Unlike Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, they're back to using true attack power, so there's no calculation that you need to do. Again, go check out my damage calculation video in the link below to find out how that was done in 4 Ultimate. So if our weapon says 90 attack, it is 90 attack. If it says 15 fire, it's 15 fire. So we know from the official guide that this is 42 motion, but we could easily discern this ourselves if we wanted to. But anyways, we know that cutting damage to the body of the Aptonoth is 75% weakness. So 42% motion value is 42% of your 90 attack, meaning that you can do a total of 37.8 power is what it is. But then we have to factor in the sharpness modifier, which is 5%. It is very important to note that this 5% of sharpness modification applies to the body part of the monster, not the attack power of your weapon. In the end, it all equals out the same anyways from calculations, but it's really important to note because there's skills like the armor skill Weakness Exploit, which activate when the weakness of the part that you're attacking is 45% or higher. So if you attacked like a part that was 44, this 5% could bop it into that zone and then give you a nice power boost. Okay, so after factoring the sharpness modifier from green, the 75% weakness zone becomes 78.75, and 78.75% of your 37.8 power means that this physical part of the attack did 29.7675 damage. We don't throw away decimals until the very end, so make sure to keep them all. The fire portion is actually really easy to calculate because green sharpness you do 100% fire damage. So taking the 29.7675 from the attack and putting that aside for now, 50% weakness to fire for the body of this monster, so 50% of 15 is 7.5 fire damage. So add that into the 29.7675 and you come up with 37.2675 damage. But wait, we did the math, it should be 35 damage, why the heck is it 37? What happened here? This is a thing called overall defense. Overall defense is a parameter that is set individually for every single quest. This is what makes it harder to kill monsters online than it is offline. So these are just rough numbers, but generally village there's no modification, so it's 100% damage. Low rank online is generally around 95%, high rank 85 to 95% depending on the quest. G rank for games that have it is usually 70 to 85%. And if you want to go extreme like level 140 guild quests, I think those went down to as low as 40% overall defense. Also, if you remember the super monsters from some of the DLC quest, like that Super Bracky from 3 Ultimate or the Super Ivory Lagicrus from 3 Ultimate, those were considered 40% overall defense super monsters. So this, I hope, dispels the myth that if you go online as one person, 2 people, 3 people, or 4, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change how much damage you're doing to a monster because this modifier is not applied to how many players are on playing, it's actually applied to the quest itself. Through some testing, we've discerned that the overall defense for the high rank Ancient Ruins Gathering Tour is 95%. So after all calculation is done, we take our 37.2675 damage and we times it by 95% to come up with 35.404125. We throw away all decimals, not doing any rounding at all, and it comes to 35 damage, which is exactly what we got when we stoned the monster to death. So I hope this shows you guys the method of how people go and they get all these motion values. It's a lot of work and dedication from the community at first before the guides are published to literally just gather and gather and gather data. For example, for my Charge Blade guide, which is upcoming, I wanted to find out exactly how powerful an elemental file type Charge Blade was, and in order to do that I had to do a lot of testing of hitting the monster with an attack, then stoning it, hitting it with an attack with a file, then stoning it, and so forth. Anyways, I hope you guys appreciate all the hard work that everyone in the community does to come up with these values, and you get a little better sense of how it's actually done. I hope you guys found this interesting. If you did, please hit the like button, and as always, please subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you guys are looking forward to the remaining tutorials and also the launch of Monster Hunter Generations, and until next time, happy hunting. Especially. Ah!